CyberConnect 2 is the company that brought us the Ultimate Ninja Storm series and now Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles. Despite being presented the same as 3D arena fighters, these two games are opposite sides of the same coin when it comes to design philosophy. There are a ton of skills that transfer between the two games, but understanding their differences is even more valuable when it comes to both learning and deciding to buy the game in the first place. It's CyberConnect 2. We know the story mode in both of these games go crazy, but today we're going to focus mainly on the gameplay. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 is a game where offensive options are designed to be stronger than defensive options, but this gets balanced out by giving players multiple chances to escape said offense via the substitution system, because you are expected to get caught by the offense. If you've never played a Storm game before, the substitution system is just the ability to get yourself out of a combo in exchange for a log, and you'll be placed behind your opponent. Every time you use it, you will use one of your substitution gauges, and once you're out of gauges, you're unable to substitute anymore, and that's when you'll take the full brunt of whatever combo you're stuck in. This philosophy allows for the game to have infinites, which is the ability to combo someone continuously until they die by looping it over and over, and it not break the game like it would most other fighting games, because the opponent can get out of it as long as they have substitution gauges to spare. Players also have the ability to jump cancel their combos whenever they want by just pressing the jump button whenever they're doing the combo sequence of their choice. And because air blocking is a thing in this game, they're able to instantly attack, jump, and then block, and then attack some more. All of this together works to make attacking very low risk and basic pressure pretty oppressive. Because canceling isn't tied to a resource, they can repeat it on their opponent's guard as much as they want. Because the defensive options aren't as good as the defensive ones, players have to ask themselves, how can I handle my opponent's offensive pressure? While Demon Slayer, on the other hand, is a game where defensive options are generally stronger than the offensive ones. This is balanced by giving players limited ways to escape once caught in a combo, because you are not expected to get caught often. This philosophy allows for free push blocking, which is the ability to push someone off of your guard, but it's not tied to a resource, so you can do it as much as you want. Also, set combo timers, so despite whatever combo starter there is, there's a set amount of time that you can be comboed. This prevents infinites and keeps offense within reasonable margins. Last but not least, there's a parry system that leaves you for huge reward. The parry system allows you to parry any incoming attack from your opponent, successfully leading to huge combo damage with the largest combo timer available in the game. These resource-free options and high rewards makes defense scary in this game. Now, because the offensive options aren't as good as the defensive options in this game, players have to ask themselves, how can I exploit or punish my opponent's defensive options to win the game? But here we can see that they're opposite sides of the same coin. Both can be fun, and you can play however you want despite which side of the coin it's on. However, understanding these things will make you a really strong player in both games and could explain why you like one and not the other. This doesn't necessarily mean the offense is weak in Demon Slayer, but that it has to consider the defense more than the defense has to consider it. This also doesn't mean that Naruto doesn't have any defensive options. This just means that the defensive options in Naruto aren't really as favorable as the offensive options you can do. One mistake people fall into when comparing fighting games is thinking about the buttons instead of the functions or purpose of the moves tied to the buttons. In modern fighting games, you can change the buttons to whatever you want. While changing buttons may make a game feel more comfortable, it all comes down to preference. If you have a car that has its gas and brake reversed, it's going to take some time getting used to it. And yes, it may be different, but the times in which and the way in which you apply the gas and brake do not change because of it. Fighting games are the same way. I even extend this idea to button sequences where pressing multiple buttons in order to get a move. It's going to be weird at first, but once you know what to press, you're going to be using it in the same situations as you did before. It doesn't matter if jumping is on your X button on your controller now or the left on your Dance Dance Revolution pad. You're going to get used to that part of it. It just matters now, when do you use it? An example of this would be Hinokami Chronicles change the inputs from ultimate jutsus in Naruto from the triangle, triangle, circle to just one button. And this does not add or take away anything from the gameplay on its own. The executional change from 3 buttons to 1 does not really do anything, because the time it takes to do 3 buttons of just triangle, triangle, circle, and just pressing 1 button is really the same. But what is different is the application of the supers. Being able to cancel into them from any hit, and the level system creates new decisions. It's not if I can cash out, it's should I cash out, or when should I cash out. Because in Naruto, you had to be in a specific part of the combo cancel to get into your ultimate jutsu. Now let's say instead of switching the pedals between gas and brake, let's say you add another pedal in the clutch of a car. Adding a clutch to the car is going to give you new applications for when you can use the gas and the brake. And I would consider this objectively different now. All this talk about cars, gas, and brake pedals is going to lead us into our first major point in movement, and how the game design philosophy affects the movement in both of these games at its core. In Naruto, jumping is amazing to the point that it's habitual to most players. It allows you to move while attacking, prevents you from getting locked down, blocking on the ground, and grants you the chance to counter dash your opponent. Besides very specific situations, there's no reason not to do it in most cases. However, in Demon Slayer, jumping should be done as a read or to bait something, not as general movement around the map, as you are open the entire way, so you should spend majority of your time in this game on the ground. However, while you are open in the air in Demon Slayer, it has safer movement options on the ground than Naruto, because the function of dodging and blocking in Demon Slayer are tied to separate buttons. You can hold a direction and flutter the block input to keep yourself safe while moving around. In Naruto, if you hold a direction and press a block button, you will accidentally dodge because block and dodge are tied to the same command. Design-wise, Naruto focuses on making you feel like a mobile assault ninja, while Demon Slayer is focusing on making you feel like a samurai with intentional movement. In the end, this results in Naruto's movement in neutral being more dynamic and interesting in my opinion, but not as risky or intentional. CC2 deciding to make dodging and blocking separate things in Demon Slayer is indicative of their shift on focusing on fleshing out their defensive mechanics. While you are still able to use a lot of the dodging techniques from Naruto in Demon Slayer, the risk versus reward associated with those things are completely different in these games. As in Naruto, you don't want to be caught blocking on the ground because you don't really have much defensive options while blocking. So you want to move around a lot, and you want to be able to ninja move and use your shuriken to avoid getting caught, and also be able to stay safe while in the air because you can block the entire time. However, in Demon Slayer, you have really strong defensive options while blocking, so actually dodging is more of a risk because yes, if you dodge them, cool, great, but the reward for getting a parry is greater. But even if you don't land the parry in Demon Slayer, being in the blocking position in this game isn't really that bad in comparison to Naruto. Now let's talk about some of the reasons why being in block stun in Demon Slayer is nowhere near as bad as it is in Naruto. First, let's take a look at the counter system from Storm 4. The problem with the counter system in Storm 4 is that the risk versus reward is skewed in the favor of the offense. The reward for landing a counter in Storm 4 on paper is two things, either resetting neutral by pushing their opponent away, or pushing the opponent into a knockback support. While the risk is being left completely open during a long recovery animation where you can be hit by anything including the ultimate jutsu. Resetting neutral in this situation is the bare minimum. You get no advantage from this situation. And in the chance that you have an active knockback support at the time, your opponent can still sub whatever you do to get out of that situation. So the issue with this is that the personal offense has no incentive to stop dashing you just because you countered them. If you counter me 5 times in a row, I'm still gonna dash you a 6th time because there's really no risk for me. Like, if you counter me, I don't really get punished hard enough to make me want to stop doing it. On the other hand, if my opponent counters me 5 times in a row but mistimes it on the 6th time, I can hit him with an ultimate jutsu and he'll eat more damage than I did after all of those counters. So yes, we have a defensive mechanic with the counter system in Storm 4, but it's not worth it when it comes to the risk versus reward when you have better options such as just dashing back at your opponent with an offensive option. So instead of taking it and trying to counter them, you could just dash back, which doesn't really take timing and also breaks even most of the time if you have the resources. So in risk versus reward, it goes in order of you should try to counter dash first if you have the resources, and then only if you don't have the resources should you then counter. But it's not the other way around. The counter in itself doesn't have any incentive to make your opponent stop dashing you, even though that's kind of what its purpose was supposed to be. Over time, advanced players tried to compensate for this by you doing things such as like switching out after a counter and going for a grab to get undisputable damage that can't be substituted. But even then, the damage of a grab is so low in Storm 4 that it's not really an incentive to make your opponent stop dashing still. So even while using other advanced techniques to try to optimize what punish you get from the counter, it's still not worth it enough to make your opponent stop doing it, which is indicative of how strong offense is in comparison to defense in Storm 4. However, the parry system in Demon Slayer is the exact opposite. The reward for landing a parry in Demon Slayer is getting access to the longest combo timer available in the game with the blue one. This allows you to get the most damaging combo available in the game. While the risk of being left wide open with long recovery frames at missing the parry is still there, the reward of getting a long combo is greater than the offensive option of just dashing back and getting the clash. And now balance is restored because in respect to the person on offense, the aggressor, if they dash in and they get countered and they take a ton of damage, they have incentive to think twice before they just dash at their opponent now. Overall, how this plays out, Demon Slayer is more likely to have people turtle and try to fish for that parry to try to get that punish, while Naruto has people that are more willing to just go in and go ham with their dashes and counter dashes. So there it kind of comes down to preference to which one do you prefer more. Another thing I would like to touch upon in this video is the idea that push blocking is actually the equivalent of substitutions in Naruto when it comes to Demon Slayer. This may sound strange to a lot of people because they may think that the support save or the support bailing you out of a combo in Demon Slayer would be the equivalent of substituting in Naruto. But in actuality, I think it's the push block. What I mean by this is the win condition. The win condition are the parameters that you need to accomplish to most likely win a game or to win a match. In Naruto, the win condition was the ability to waste and bait your opponent's substitutions while being able to keep your own. This made it so that you'll be able to do solid damage to your opponent while taking the minimal amount of damage necessary to win. The win condition in Demon Slayer is your ability to play around your opponent's push block and punish whatever options they do after it. The reason why these two are the win conditions because they're the most common interactions that you're going to experience during the match. Substitutions is a resource that's constantly recharging, while push blocking is a free resource that you can do non-stop. There are moves built into Naruto to help you bait your opponent's substitutions. These moves are moves that makes your opponent substitute right in front of you instead of behind you, so that if your opponent subs it, they're still stuck in your pressure or block stream. In Demon Slayer, there are moves to bait your opponent's push blocking. Grabs are intentionally designed to have long ranges in Demon Slayer, and they also have water wheel moves which are designed to catch your opponent who decides to dodge backwards after doing a push block. If you're someone looking to get good at this game but don't really know what to focus on learning these interactions and what to do after your opponent has push blocked you, or looking to how to punish their options after doing a push block. In conclusion, man, while presented similarly, these games are really different at their core. There are a ton of ideas and concepts that transfer between the two games because they're made by the same people, but understanding their differences and why they're there is going to be really valuable when it comes to trying to learn and understand this game if you're coming from Storm. Regardless of which side of the coin is on, play the games how you want to play the game. They made the game for you to have fun and express yourself, and there's no wrong way to do that. Man, I put a lot of time into the Storm series growing up, and seeing CC2 finally transition to their next fighter for good kinda signifies the end of an era for me. With the Storm series being the first series I was really driven to understand, it was only right that I made this video. And if you're new here, I do all kinds of videos on fighting games, video essays on game design, Guilty Gear Strive tutorials, and even one-on-one guides. I currently have some Melty Blood content in the oven, so if you see anything you like or you just want to support your boy, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.